Bonnie was down, and Mac had to get down and lift her with an arm and lead the horse to turn away. The bear hadn't moved, watching the performance. At 20 paces, Mac boosted the girl up into his saddle and walked surely down behind the children's cavalcade, which was now headed inexorably toward the ranch, 2 miles below. Those who had been at the rear and hadn't seen the bear would be astonished and envious as they heard the story. But by supper they would have their own tales of the close call and the huge beast. As they passed below the cabin shambles and onto the open hillside, Mac whistled and Rusty stopped, and the line of riders stopped. "Are you okay?" Mac said. "It was a bear," Bonnie said. She was lit. They reached her horse and Mac helped her down. "Let's see." She had skinned her wrist and she pulled out her shirt and showed him where her waist was bruised, her belt full of dirt and grass. "I'm okay. Can we go back and get a picture?" Everybody had a camera. "Not today," he said. "That bear doesn't want his picture taken today." He still had her arm and turned her in examination. "Did he attack?" one of the kids said. "No," Mac said. "He was sleeping and we woke him up." "Hibernating," one of the kids said. "Not yet," Mac said. "Let's go down." He held Rusty while Bonnie mounted. She was turned, looking back up the hill. "That bear was hibernating. Bears hibernate," the expert offered again. "Go, go," Mac called, and the line of horses and riders began the walk home. I'll stop there. Thank you. That was a bonus. I'd like to read that little section because the thing I found out, it's very interesting writing a novel because you start it and then all of a sudden some guy's telling a story about Hiram, this ghost figure, and you've got to tolerate, that's one of those moments I talk to my students about, you've got to tolerate this inclusion. I'm an includer, and I was so lucky to have had that. I heard a story like that a long time ago when I was at YMCA camp in the mountains of Utah, and it scared me to death. And so I changed a little bit and added that bit, not knowing it, in the first days of writing that would come back and help me. It was one of the continuing motifs in this little 6-day, the novel is essentially a 6-day backpacking trip. So anyway, are there any questions about this or the other book or those other 1,000 stories or the teaching or anything at all?
Well, I was going to mention that part of a book club is partly represented here. Let's see, what question?
Did you read Five Skies?
My wife and I are working on it.
Oh, okay.
And that's what we're doing in the book club, right?
You're not finished yet?
Not finished
Oh,
yet.
good. Well, I'm not going to get any tough questions. I had breakfast with 500 people on early. Let's see, the 5th of May, because the book was chosen by Rhode Island as its one book of all things. That's very strange, I thought, but I was very happy because coincident to that, my son lives there. He just moved there a year ago. Very, very odd. So we had this big breakfast. Everybody was angry at me. I mean, they loved the book, but they were angry. It was one of those great moments. I'm very angry. I love your book, but I'm very angry. And so I had to talk about the moments that as a reader, that I've had where things in a novel or a story have come out for me in a way that almost feels unfair. I mean, there's a moment in the middle of Huckleberry Finn that people forget where there's a thing with the feud, and he meets this guy named Buck Grangerford, and Buck gets killed because of something that Huck does. It's a Romeo and Juliet story.
Slightly older boy.
Yeah, and man, when that happened, I was like 12 when I read that. I thought, no way, that's not allowed. That's not at all. And it's still, I wrote a little essay about it, but it's, so I sort of do that. But
my question was, what would you suggest as a question for our book group on this book?
Wow. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's really interesting. There's no admission. But
Ron Carlson, great writer or greatest writer?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, I think that one of the things that's happened to me with this book is we have in the Five Skies is the discussion about gender, and lots of women have talked about understanding men and this look at men, and there was a therapist at this Never mind. So I would be very interested in terms of people have accused me or celebrated me or whatever. I mean, I'm a man and I have as much difficulty talking as the next guy, probably more, even though I'm prolix and a professor and blah, blah, blah. But I wanted to depict as honestly as I could, via the outside world of tools and work and the world, the dirt, the weather, the way men are, the way, and fundamentally. And when I was halfway through that book, Five Skies, I called New York. I called my editor and said, this is the book I've chosen to write. He sort of knew a little bit about it, but I said, I don't know what to say to you. I just want to tell you now, because I'm on my way. I'm committed. I'm married to this thing. Is that there's no women in it to speak of. It's men. It's all out of doors. It's in the West, and it's about work. And those are all. I mean, those are all sort of antithetical to what's in the mainstream. And it was the book I wanted to write. It's my love letter to work. It's my love letter to the. You know, plus, I mean, well, like this story, The Signal. There's a lot of camping in here, and when I have an office, like I was a professor, I'm an old teacher, blah, 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 but the thing is that I wanted to write a campfire, a real campfire, okay? I see these movies and books, and the campfires are always so easy. People would get up there's a campfire in there having a little brandy, you know, okay? I've had a little brandy, but never, you know, you're always struggling to maybe take a nip of your brandy before the fire goes out, because you got to get up in a minute. Fires are trouble, and what I really hate is when someone in a movie falls in the river, and a minute later they're dry.
Yeah.
I never saw it happen, and I never saw the mosquitoes go away. Okay? And so, I think that if you're really, like I said, if it's a love letter, then you gotta, it's warts and all. You know, I love the warts, so I wanted to depict in that book. The first thing that ever happened to me in that book, I don't know when it was, years ago, I was at Richmond, Virginia, with 6 or 7 graduate students. We just sat down to breakfast, and one of them leaned over and tapped his finger on the table like a wise man and said, I ain't got this book. I know what this book is about. This book is all about the food. And I wanted to make that, you know, that real food in there, this kind of the bread, the toast, the burnt fire. So it's that simple. I mean, for me, that's the truth of the book. People talk about what it's about or redemption or whatever. I don't know about redemption. I know about toast. And I can burn the toast.
Redeem toast.
I couldn't make a book better, but I can make it colder. I can make the sand, you know, like that. So that's really been the way that I've approached my fiction. Go ahead.